Welcome to the Morning Table. I'm your host, Malia, and I hope to create a space where you leave feeling full rather than depleted. I created the Morning Table to have a space where women feel at home, at peace, never overlooked, and remove the competition we are constantly in with one another. We will have real, raw, and sometimes scary conversations, but just amongst us girls, so don't worry. Through my background in education and social work, I hope to guide our conversations in a positive mindset so that each week we will feel as if we are leaving better than when we came. I hope to make you laugh. I hope you learn. And I hope you grow because a life worth living is one where we never feel comfortable staying the same. I would also like to add that every life is worth living. But I can't wait to chat with you. So let's get started. Hi, girls. This past year, 2025, has been a huge transformative year for me. And as from what I can tell on the social media, I would say that it's been crazy transformative for so many of us. I don't want this platform to be me, because this is not my journal. This is a place for us to learn, laugh, and grow together. But in order for me to do that, I do have to share my own stories and my own truths. So let's get vulnerable. I left my 9 to 5 with no backup plan back in February. Terrifying. We'll get more into that. But then after that, I got an LLC with the help of Google, of course. And then I started posting on social media, which is horrific. Oh my God, if you want to get yourself out of your comfort zone, prop your phone up and try talking to it. You think you can talk to a wall until you got to do that. But through all of these things, I learned so much about myself. I learned who I am, what I want in this life. I also learned that my world does not just revolve around me, but I am revolving around my world. And in order to know what kind of energy and person I want to be in this life, what kind of energy I want to put out, and what kind of person I want to be, there we go. I have to know what is my role in my world. What am I contributing that is positive and negative? Take inventory of that and change. We are all making life decisions, but often I was finding myself, at least. I won't say we, I'll speak for myself. When making life decisions, I felt like I was often seeking outside opinions rather than looking inward. And this year I really tried to work on this because everything that I've done up until this point was for outside approval. I was so displeased in some of the decisions that I've made because they weren't made with myself in mind. They were made from a place of looking for approval from others or looking to please the view and perception that somebody had of me and who I was going to be and become in this life. And that brought me to a place of feeling empty, to be honest. I looked around my life and thought, where am I? How did I get here? Why am I here? And where do I go from here? And I could imagine that a lot of us have gotten to that point in life, or maybe you're at that place right now. And it's not a life any of us want to live, to be quite frank. And to have to make decisions based off of somebody else and to fulfill their hopes and dreams for you, that's their life, not yours. And I'm saying these words to you right now, but I want you to know that these are things that I had to come to terms with, for lack of better words, so that I could change my life. And I don't want this to be, again, a platform where I'm just talking about myself, because you don't care about my life. You care about, how can I better myself? How can I apply this to me? I hear what you're saying, Malia. Yeah, you were in a really bad place. You lived your life up to for the past 28 years for other people, but like, how did you start to live your life for yourself? Why am I listening to you? I know you're asking these questions, and that's okay. I would be asking those questions too. So, in order to give you some tangible tips, tricks, nuggets of truth, if you will, to take with you on the rest of your day, let me be vulnerable, okay? I'm scared. Be nice, please. But like I said, I'm 28 years old, and I was living my life up until this point for everybody else. And one of the biggest events this last year that really made me face hard truths. New York 3 years ago for grad school. I got my master's in social work, and I was never that student in class where I was in awe of what we were learning. I was there to not get a check, but to give them a check and to get my degree. To be honest, that's it. We would be going around the room, the beginning of the class, and be like, "What's your name? What do you hope to do after this? Blah, 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 blah," the whole shebang. And I would sometimes make up an excuse and be like, "I'm here because I want to do blah, blah, blah." Or then other times I'd be real honest and say, "I just want to make as much money as possible. I don't really care what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to connect with people, and I want to make a lot of money." Truth hurts. I would get some weird looks, but like, y'all are all thinking it too. And I'm just saying the quiet stuff out loud. But I was there for the wrong reasons. And I was there just for the vibes and to go through the motions. And thank God my program was pass fail because yikes. So when I finished, I got in the real world and I was working my big fancy, it wasn't even that fancy or big, but I had my big fancy degree and I was working my big girl job. My mental health, I've always struggled with depression. I can remember in high school being severely depressed, and like everybody just thought, "Oh, she's just sleeping because she's going through a growth spurt." Girl, I'm 5'1". No growth spurts were ever happening in this body. But I was really depressed, and I remember getting to a point in my 9 to 5 where I had surpassed the level of depression I was in high school, and remember, I don't want to say never wanted to live, but I just was never planning for the future. I don't even know that I would plan for the next day. I would wake up, I would live my day, and then I would go to sleep, low key kind of hoping that tomorrow wouldn't come. I should have put a trigger warning, but like that was my truth, and that's where I was. Like, I wasn't sleeping very well. I was isolating. I wasn't eating, and I was in a really dark place. I lived on a first floor New York City apartment that didn't have any light. So I thought, what can I do right now in my circumstances to help my mental health? I could move somewhere that would give me sunlight. So that's what I did. I found an apartment in Brooklyn that was sunlit, and I thought, this is it. This is my token to a better place. So I moved in February, and it didn't change very much for me. I was still mentally in the hole. I was sleeping a lot. I wasn't eating. And I kind of had to come to terms with the fact that it wasn't my living situations that were making me depressed. It wasn't my relationships. It wasn't anything worth tweaking. It was my job. I was doing a job that I was told I had to do, for lack of better words. I was raised to go to school, get a 9 to 5, make money, be independent, and in my 40s get married. And that's what I was doing. I was on that trajectory and I couldn't have been more miserable. So I quit. And let me just say, wow. Going into that meeting, putting in my notice, feeling the anxiety leave my body is a feeling that I can't describe to you unless you've felt it. I got to a place where I didn't want to please my parents. I didn't want to please my family. I didn't care to please my partner or my peers. I just had to do what mattered to me. I had to remind myself and sit down and say, who matters in this situation? You matter, because if you don't prioritize yourself right now, Malia, you're not going to make it to next year. And I just want to be clear about the fact that what I'm talking about right now, being in a job that I don't like, having a master's degree, and having the option of not having a backup plan is such a place of privilege. I'm a white woman. I have a family that's going to be able to support me if I need them. I put myself in a financial position that when I left my 9 to 5, I didn't have to immediately get another job. I was going to be okay. So I just want that to be clear. I'm not telling you leave your 9 to 5 without a backup plan. And also, I know that my situation and my circumstances are so specific to me and not to other people. So, with that being said, I'm not saying quit your job, but what I am saying is, what is your dark room? Mine was my 9 to 5. Mine was having a master's degree and using my master's degree that didn't actually fulfill me. So, what's yours? What is stopping you from being bold? Is it someone in your life? Is it yourself? Do you feel unworthy? Because all of these things stem from fear. We are fearful of failing. We're fearful of judgment. We're fearful to do something that's out of the norm. When things are taught to us or a learned behavior, we forget that there's other options for us. I was taught, like I said, to never quit my career. I was taught that you are to do everything you can to stay above the poverty line, because I was raised much below the poverty line. I was taught that you, as a person, are responsible for everything in your life, and I believe that to this day still. But these are principles that were ingrained in me from my mom and from my mom to me and my siblings, not from my siblings. I raised them, let's be honest. But those things that I was taught, they didn't work for me. Some fit and some stick, but not all of them. And that's okay. That's the unlearning piece. That's the piece of learning. Who are you? What am I fearful of? And how can I become unfearful of that and become fearful of failing myself? Let me repeat that. How can I become fearful of failing myself? And I'm going to add, and not fearful of failing others, because no one else is waking up every single day and living my life. I am. And so when I left and I started the morning table, I just, oh my gosh, everything just kind of opened up for me. It felt like I was born again. I felt as if I had a new purpose in life. And it was the purpose for why I went to So Short, to connect with people. I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to have conversations with them. I wanted to hear their stories. And I wanted to be able to guide the conversation and the connection in a way that made them feel better after than when they started the conversation with me. And in doing the morning table and starting the morning table, I've been able to do that. I've been able to have conversations with women and get feedback from them and say, thank you for making me feel so seen. Thank you for hearing me ramble on about X, Y, and Z. Thank you for allowing me a space to speak freely, because I've never had that opportunity before. Thank you for being honest about your struggles. It has switched something in my brain where now I don't see my situations as negative, but rather things that have created me as a person. These are feedbacks that I've received in starting the morning table, and oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, they are what give me purpose. I never want to forget who I am and why I did this, to connect with humans. We are so much more than the job titles that we hold, or the amount of money that we have, or the car that we drive, or the clothes that we wear. We are made up of patterns that taught us, behaviors that we want to unlearn, and things we want to relearn or learn altogether. We are humans that are seeking connections, not materials. I hope that through each week's of these episodes, you hear something that strikes a chord for you and makes you think just a little bit deeper about your own life. Nothing in us is fixed unless we decide that it is. Don't stay stagnant. Welcome to our table, the morning table, where everyone has a seat. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I can't wait to see you next week. Bye, guys.